I let my husband's nephew stay with us after his parents kicked him out. He was quiet, kind, until my jewelry started disappearing. When I confronted him, my husband said, "Don't start." He told me what you've been doing. The police came the next day. They had a warrant. My own husband had filed the report. He saw you take everything, he said. My nephew just stared at me. I was arrested. But in the holding cell, one officer slid me a phone and said, "You should see this video he posted last night. I'm 44, been married to Gary, 52, for 17 years. We live in Knoxville, Tennessee, in a quiet suburb. No kids, just us and our dog until recently. A few months ago, Gary's nephew, Tyler, 19, showed up out of nowhere. It was late, raining hard, and I remember standing in the doorway with the light behind me, staring at this soaked, nervous kid who looked like he hadn't eaten all day. Gary didn't even wait for me to ask questions. He just opened his arms and said, 'Come in, kid.' Tyler's parents had kicked him out. Gary's sister and her husband. According to Gary, it was the usual teenage rebellion stuff. Disrespect, mouthing off, breaking rules. I asked if there was anything serious, like drugs. Gary brushed it off. Said the kid just needed a break. At first, Tyler seemed like the quiet type. He always said thank you when I cooked, kept to himself in the guest room, and stayed off the TV unless we invited him. But he watched everything. I'd catch him glancing at me from behind his phone. The way his eyes followed me felt off. But I ignored it. He was Gary's nephew. I figured I was just being paranoid. I made the mistake of being too trusting. The first thing I noticed missing was a small pair of silver earrings. They were in my dresser, nothing fancy, but they had meaning. My mom gave them to me when I turned 30. I tore the bedroom apart looking for them, but nothing. Next, a bracelet I wore every Easter. Gone. Then my grandmother's necklace. The one with the little gold locket. I cried in the bathroom that night because I thought maybe I had lost it somewhere, but something didn't feel right. The moment that confirmed it for me was my wedding ring. I always took it off to do dishes. That day, I left it on the kitchen counter like I always did. We ordered pizza that night, and when I went back to get it, nothing. It was just gone. I didn't say anything right away. I kept checking around the house. I even quietly cleaned Tyler's room one afternoon when he was out job hunting. I didn't find anything. But I found his backpack tucked way back in the closet. It was zipped and locked with a small padlock. I didn't have the heart to open it. I should have. Instead, I went to Gary the next morning. We were in the kitchen. He was sipping his coffee like he always did. I leaned against the counter and said, "I think Tyler's been taking my jewelry." Gary didn't even look surprised. Just disappointed. "Don't start," he said. I froze. What does that mean? He looked up, and I swear I saw something cold in his eyes. Like he already made up his mind. "He told me what you've been doing." I thought I misheard him. "Excuse me?" He got up, threw his coffee in the sink, and walked out. Just like that. That whole day, he barely said a word to me. Tyler stayed in his room. When I tried to ask what Tyler said, Gary said, "Don't make this worse for yourself." That night, I cried in the bathroom again. Something was seriously wrong, and I didn't know how to fix it. The next morning, I was in my robe, brushing my teeth, when I heard the knock at the door. Gary answered. I could hear voices. Then footsteps. I came out into the hallway and froze. 4 police officers. One of them read my name off a paper and said they had a warrant for my arrest. Gary stood to the side with his arms crossed. "She's been stealing," he told them. "From her own bedroom. Tyler saw her." I screamed. "Are you kidding me? That's my jewelry. I live here." Tyler was leaning against the hallway wall, hoodie up, face blank. Didn't say a word. They cuffed me in my own house. Neighbors came outside. I saw Mrs. Pendleton across the street staring. In the back of the squad car, I kept saying, "This is a mistake. Please. This is a mistake. Nobody listened. They booked me, fingerprinted me. I was in that cold holding cell for maybe 3 hours. I felt humiliated. Angry. But mostly I felt betrayed. Then something strange happened. A female officer walked by, looked at me for a second, and kept going. A minute later, she came back. She glanced around, then pulled a phone from inside her jacket and slid it through the bars to me. You need to see this video he posted last night. I picked up the phone. It was already on the video. TikTok. Tyler's face filled the screen. He was grinning, recording from inside our bedroom. You'd think after stealing her ring, she'd catch on, he said to the camera. He opened my jewelry box, held up my grandmother's necklace. Let's see how far we can take this, he laughed. Uncle Gary's such a dumbass. My whole body went cold. I handed the phone back, shaking. The officer nodded. You're getting out. We're getting this sorted. But you need to know, this isn't the only video. She walked off. I sat back on that bench, shaking, heart pounding. I thought of Gary's face. Of how quick he was to believe I'd do something like that. Tyler had been playing him. But something told me this went even deeper. I wasn't going back to that house until I knew everything. I wasn't going to be the quiet one anymore. They released me the next day. No apology, just a rushed explanation that charges were under review and I was free to go. My lawyer, Denise, met me outside. She was furious. We're going after both of them, she said. Husband and nephew. You trust me? I nodded. My legs were shaking. I was exhausted and embarrassed, but I was done letting people walk all over me. I didn't go home. I stayed in a motel off Kingston Pike, one of those cheap ones with buzzing lights and thin blankets. I couldn't even bring myself to call Gary. He hadn't texted, hadn't called, nothing. Denise filed an emergency order to freeze access to our joint accounts. She said it was better to act fast. Good thing too, because less than 24 hours later, Gary drained the checking account. The one I had been paying into for years. That's when I knew, it wasn't just about Tyler. Gary was in on it. Maybe not from the start, but somewhere along the way, he flipped sides. And now he was cleaning me out. Denise filed for separation right then. I didn't even argue. I just nodded and cried in the motel bathroom. But it wasn't over. Not even close. The officer who showed me the video? Her name was Torres. She called me 2 nights later. I was lying on that rock-hard motel mattress, staring at the ceiling when my burner phone rang. We got the account, she said. The TikTok one. Tyler didn't just post one video. He's been documenting everything for weeks. I sat up. Everything? Everything. Him sneaking into your room. Stealing pieces. Laughing about how easy it is to gaslight old people. And one video you're gonna want to see. She sent me the file. It was grainy, like a bad stream, but it was clear enough. Gary. Sitting on our bed, in my robe, sipping a drink. Laughing. I mean, if she's dumb enough to believe the kid, let her rot for a night, he said. I could use the silence. Tyler's voice was behind the camera. She'll crack, right? Gary shrugged. Who knows? Either way, we clear the house out this weekend. My skin went cold. This wasn't some kid making dumb videos. This was planned. Calculated. I called Denise. She got Torres to pull the phone records and confirm Gary and Tyler had been in constant contact weeks before Tyler moved in. Photos, texts, voice memos. All of it. And then I remembered something, Gary's work laptop. He always used to leave it open. And I had the password. I called our old neighbor, Russ. The sweet old man who used to walk his golden retriever by our house every morning. I asked him for a favor. I need you to grab Gary's laptop from the house if you can. I don't care how you do it. Tell him it's about taxes or some crap. Russ did it. Said Gary didn't even blink. Handed it over like it meant nothing. The next day, I met Denise in her office and we opened the laptop. She brought in an IT guy. Within an hour, we found email after email. Between Gary and a lawyer. Planning the divorce. Talking about assets. How to move things under his name quietly. Even trying to change the deed to the house without my signature. He wasn't just betraying me. He was trying to erase me. And Tyler? He had been paid. Gary offered him $10,000 to lie. To say I stole everything. To record the videos. To give him an excuse to get me out of the house and out of the marriage without having to split property. But Tyler had been too stupid to keep it quiet. The videos were what blew it up. Denise turned all of it over to Torres. I still hadn't spoken to Gary. He still hadn't reached out. But that wasn't going to last long. Because I had just made the biggest decision of my life. I wasn't going to wait for justice anymore. I was going to destroy them. Both of them. Piece by piece. 2 weeks after the police let me go, I filed a restraining order against both Gary and Tyler. Gary hadn't contacted me, but I knew it was only a matter of time. Once he figured out the police had seen those videos, he'd try to play damage control. I wasn't giving him the chance. Torres and Denise were building the case. Fraud. Conspiracy. False police report. Theft. Denise was pushing hard to get felony charges filed against both of them. She even brought in a civil litigator for the financial side. Gary had taken over $38,000 from our joint account. All while I was sitting in jail, humiliated. But here's where things got even messier. Torres called me late one night. "You're gonna want to hear this," she said. "We just picked up Tyler." I sat straight up in bed at the motel. Picked him up for what? Turns out your husband's not the only one he's been recording. He had other videos. From other houses. Including one of a woman in Murfreesboro who reported her diamond earrings missing a year ago. That's when it hit me, Tyler wasn't just a lazy kid freeloading off family. He was a scammer. A thief. He'd been doing this in more than one place. He had a whole routine. Fake stories. Crashing with relatives. Making it look like they were stealing. And when the heat came down, he'd vanish. But Gary? Gary gave him the keys. That night, I went back through an old photo album on my phone. There was a picture of Tyler at a family barbecue 2 years ago. In the background, a woman was giving him the coldest glare. Gary had told me she was a drama queen cousin who hated everyone. Now I wasn't so sure. I called her. Her name was Carrie. We talked for almost 2 hours. She told me Tyler stayed with them for 3 weeks in 2022. Same story, parents kicked him out, needed a place to crash. By the end of the month, her engagement ring was missing. So was her tablet. And her husband's watch. They never proved it was him, and he disappeared before they could press charges. When I told her what happened to me, she got quiet. Then she said, "Gary knew. We told him what happened. He just said we were exaggerating." So Gary knew what Tyler was capable of. He just didn't care. Or worse, he saw an opportunity. Denise and I took all this to Torres, who handed it off to the detective in charge of the wider investigation. Suddenly, the case went from family theft to something bigger. Multiple victims. A pattern. A possible interstate fraud ring. But then came another twist. Gary vanished. Torres tried to serve him with a formal notice of investigation. He was gone. Quit his job. Cleaned out his desk. Disconnected his number. Even Tyler didn't know where he went. Denise checked the banks. That's when we found out Gary had opened an account in his name only, 2 towns over, in Maryville. He had started moving money there a month before my arrest. This was premeditated. I didn't even cry this time. I felt clean. Like everything fake had finally been stripped away. And that's when I decided I wasn't going to wait for the law to catch up. I started reaching out. To every woman in Gary's family Tyler had ever stayed with. To Gary's coworkers. To our old friends. I told them everything. Showed them the videos. The emails. The screenshots. Most of them were shocked. But a few? They weren't. One of Gary's coworkers pulled me aside and said, "He's done this before. Not like this, but he's not who people think he is." Turns out Gary had been slowly cutting people off for years. Always making them look like the problem. His best friend? Accused of being too close to me. His sister? Tried to borrow money, never paid back. It was a pattern. And I was the last one to see it. But not anymore. I had enough to take them both down. Problem was, Gary had run. And Tyler? Tyler had just made bail. He was back on the street. But he didn't know one thing. I was watching him now. And he was about to make a big mistake. I didn't sleep much after Tyler made bail. He wasn't staying at our house anymore, thank God. But I knew he wouldn't stay low for long. Guys like him don't know how to stay quiet. He was back on TikTok within 3 days, posting under a new account. I spotted him in a video some girl tagged. Different hoodie, same smug little face. I showed it to Torres. She pulled some strings, tracked the location. He was staying with a friend in a cheap apartment complex near UT campus. Same town, different corner. They were building the criminal case slow, piece by piece, which meant I had to wait. But waiting didn't mean sitting still. I had the videos. The messages. The emails. I went public. I posted everything. I made a video, 1 minute long, no music, no filter. Just me in front of a blank wall. This is Tyler. He stole from me. He lied. He recorded it. Then my husband had me arrested for it. I dropped the clips. Tyler laughing. Gary talking about letting me rot for a night. The jewelry in Tyler's hand. I didn't accuse. I didn't yell. I just let the evidence speak. It went viral overnight. 2.7 million views in 24 hours. Then I dropped the follow-up. This is Gary, my husband. He took my money, filed a false police report, and ran. That one hit harder. Because now the police weren't the only ones looking. Gary's company saw it. He got fired in absentia. His professional licenses? Under review. Even his high school alumni group posted a statement. We are saddened to hear about these serious allegations. People started tagging places. Someone claimed they saw Gary at a motel in Gatlinburg. Another said he used a fake name to rent a storage unit in Oak Ridge. He was trying to disappear. But karma had GPS. 2 weeks later, he was pulled over in a borrowed car outside Chattanooga. Fake plates. No ID. Tried to say he was someone else. Didn't work. They found over $8,000 in cash in the trunk. 2 burner phones. A box with my grandmother's necklace, my wedding ring, and some of the jewelry Tyler hadn't pawned yet. I showed up to court the day Gary was arraigned. He looked like hell. Hair greasy, beard patchy, wearing the same old hoodie he always said made him look younger. He didn't even look at me. Tyler was already facing charges. But when the DA got the full scope, videos, messages, and now Gary's full cooperation with him, the charges escalated. Gary tried to cut a deal. He said I manipulated him. Said I was emotionally abusive, that I threatened Tyler, that he panicked and filed a false report because he thought I was dangerous. Too bad for him, every email, every message, every voice note showed the opposite. Even Tyler rolled on him. He broke down during questioning, told them everything. Gary planned the fake theft, told Tyler what to say to the cops, even promised to split the house money once I was out of the picture. It was over. Gary was charged with filing a false police report, fraud, conspiracy, and theft. He took a plea deal, 6 years in state prison, no parole for the first 3. Tyler? He got 3 years plus mandatory psychiatric counseling. They found he had a long history of manipulation, theft, and suspected personality disorders. He cried in court, begged for leniency. I didn't flinch. But my revenge wasn't just about prison. I sued them both. Civil court. For defamation, emotional distress, theft, and damages. Won every count. The judge awarded me full control of the house. I sold it the next month. I also got a full judgment against both of them, Gary for $62,000, Tyler for $24,000. Neither of them will see a tax return or legal paycheck without it going to me for the next 20 years. I took some of that money and moved. Not far. Still in Tennessee. I got a small place with a fenced yard and finally got another dog. One that sleeps next to me and growls if anyone even walks near my door. People still reach out to me about those videos. Some say I was strong. Some say I was lucky. Some ask how I didn't lose my mind. The truth? I almost did. When they arrested me, when I was in that holding cell, I thought my whole life was gone. I thought the man I married hated me. That I was losing my mind. But you don't really know what you're made of until the people closest to you rip the floor out from under you. And if there's one thing I've learned? Silence protects the wrong people. Speaking up saved my life. So I keep speaking. Online. In courtrooms. In groups for women who've been manipulated, abandoned, falsely accused. Gary and Tyler thought they were smart. They thought they could turn the world upside down and walk away clean. But they didn't count on the one thing they never saw coming, me getting back up. And making damn sure they never get to do it again.